Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We are going to look at Playwright, which is an awesome end-to-end test framework and utility. It's very, very easy to install. You get so many things just out of the box, like a cool reporting mechanism. You can run your test just for Firefox or WebKit or Chrome or whatever. You get so many possibilities, and it's so easy to get started with. You can just start with using a small corner of this awesome test framework, and this is exactly what we're going to do in this video right here. So I have my webpage, the Code Investigator, and we are going to test that we can write something in right here, and then we can see the result in the output box right here. I use this to create banners for my Spring Boot applications, and I can get some cool Spring Boot banners that I can start up when I start up my Spring Boot application. Then I can see which environment it is and which application that I'm playing with right now, because it comes with these giant letters that you just saw right here. But that is another story. We are going to focus on the test part right here. So installing it is really, really easy. If it fails when you install it, then it's almost certain because you have installed the wrong version of Node. So always check that you have latest and greatest Node before you start. And if you don't know how to install Node, then use Node version manager, NVM. Use that one, because then you can swap between different versions of Node, all depending on which project that you're working on. Yeah, so I've already ran this command right here, but I'm going to create a new folder. But I'm going to show you what it looks like when you do that. So I'm going to make a new directory, demo right here. Okay, demo Playwright. And I'm going to demo Playwright. And then I'm going to paste in the init command, npm init Playwright at latest. And yeah, this is just so you can see. And first of all, do you want to? In this situation, I don't have a project already. When I ran this for my Code Investigator website, then it did not ask me about whether this is TypeScript or JavaScript. It could already see that I was using TypeScript, so it just continued with TypeScript. So I'm going to write TypeScript. We would like to have TypeScript type-safe types. Just because then we catch then we fail fast. The fail fast principle, right? We want to fail as soon as possible. We don't want to run our application before we see that we actually assumed that some variable had another type than it actually has. So where to put your intents? Yeah, in the test. If you don't have any good reason for not using the test folder, then just use that. The more default options you choose right here, the better it is. And install the Playwright browsers. Yes, thank you very much. Then install all of the browsers. I mean Firefox, Chromium, Chrome, WebKit, and WebKit. If you don't know that, then it's that is what is powering Safari. So if you want to make sure that it works on Mac OS, then you on Safari, of course, then you can also test it with the WebKit. And then it gives you all of this introduction right here. In this introduction, it's this is gold that we're looking at right here. Those are gems. Each of these commands right here, that I could make a whole video about each of these commands, because there are actually so many cool stuff that we can do with these commands right here. What we're going to do right now is we're going to run a test. We're going to run a test with UI. We are not going to. If you only want to run with one browser, then you would just then you would choose the project right there. Or else then you can then you can also run a single test, and you can also run and then see you want to see some debug. You can also generate these tests automatically. We're not going to do that in this video right here, but I'll create another video where we do that. But I'm going to close the terminal right here, because I've already prepared a lot of cool stuff right here in my own project. So so first of all, let us look at a short example that I have right here, so we can see what's actually going on. I have a test folder. My test folder is right here, and then we get it will be fed with some default test where they actually test Playwright's own web page. They go to the web page, and you can see how easy it is right here. So we're using a page, go to, and then some URLs, and all of your tests will start like this. Start with going to some URL, and then they will expect something. So you do something, and then you will expect something always. That's how your tests are constructed, of course. If you don't assert something, then it's not a test. Again here, then they go to something, then they get a get started link, and then they click on that link, and then they see what happens right here. In this example right that they have right here, then they are not using test IDs. It is much better to use test IDs because then it's much easier to navigate to and then you're sure that you're navigating to the correct element that you want to navigate to. So that is what I'm using in my test. I have a Spring Boot banner test right here, and I want to go to my local test server right here, but I also have a test that goes against the deployed version that just tests that I have the correct title, just to do something that like Playwright did. And again here we're naming the title, we're naming the test right here. It's good. It's nice to give it a good name because you're going to see this in a report, and the report is awesome. Spoiler alert. So then we go to this URL right here, and then we are going to, in this situation right here where I'm using the locator, and here I'm locating select and then font options, and then I'm selecting terminal. It's because if I swap, the reason why I do this trick is if I choose the font terminal, then it's actually not doing. Then I'm actually not getting a banner, and then I'm not getting an ASCII banner. It's just plain text, and that means that then I can put something in right here, and then I can assert that it's exactly the same text that I have right here. Of course, it's not the best test ever. I should actually also test the real banner output. But maybe I'll do that afterwards. So here we have the get by test ID. So this is where we get this is really strong. That's because if I go back right here, then I've added to my code. If I do an inspect right here, then you can see right here I have data dash test ID is right here. Then I've set this to banner input field right here. But Mike, you're doing React code. How did you add this data test ID field in there? How did you do that magic? It is definitely not magic. It's quite easy actually. And let me just data test ID. It's actually right here. So here we have data test ID, and you just add that to whatever component that you are playing with. So it's really easy. Out of the box, data test ID right here. Here we have the result field, so then I can insert something from the result field, and I can also easily get the input field, and then I can fill it with some other data. So the way to fill in data is to use the fill method or function right here. So that then you use the fill function, just add the text, and you can then expect that this component right here, this element, it has this value that we set up here. This is a constant right here. It's really easy to use this framework. It's awesome. I cannot say anything. I cannot say a lot of praising words about this because it's just so easy to get started with. Which I've been using Selenium for many years. Of course, I also like Selenium, but Selenium has a huge ecosystem also with tools and a lot of weird stuff. But I don't know, I should not say but. I would say and it can be a bit difficult to get started with, especially if you start with the Java version. Then sometimes you have to play a bit with the dependencies to make everything work. But there's nothing like this with this. Also because this is a JavaScript framework, so it was just so easy to install. It just works seamlessly with the other modules. I have just updated my React application to latest and greatest. That, of course, could also help. And I'm using the latest and greatest nodes. So let me just close Codex. That's not what I want to do. I want to run npx Playwright and then the tests. So now I'm running the tests. And it's being run for all of you can see right here for WebKit, Firefox, etc., etc. There were 12 tests that were being ran, and it took 8.5 seconds. Okay, please give me a report for that. npx Playwright, and then give me your report. Whoopty, here I got my report. Okay, so here I have my file, SB banner test, and the built-in test from Playwright. Let us just collapse that one. And we can see here it has a title, and then it is, and it can create banner, and you can see it has been run for Chromium, it has been run for Firefox, and also WebKit. And of course you can filter on these browsers. You can also say that you don't want to wait for it to be run for instance Firefox or WebKit or Chromium, or whatever browser that you don't like. Then you can just fill that out and say you don't want to run for that, or you can say which browser that you actually want to run for. So then you get this cool report right here: passed, failed, flaky. That's if they failed once in a while, and then how long it took for each test, and then you can work with sometimes you will end up in a situation where you have some tests that are really, really slow. That's usually because you have an application that is really, really slow. So then you can look at that flow and then do something about it. And you should name your tests for you can name them after the user experience journey of the user journey, or after the flow, or even after the Scrum. The Scrum task, or maybe even after the epic. You can also create an epic that goes the whole way through. So yeah, you can organize these tests as you want, of course. I would definitely recommend that you have one test that goes through your whole flow, and then you can have multiple other tests that actually go through each part of the flow. Okay, so that was the show report. That was the show report. Let us now try to enable the UI. What happens if you enable the UI, Mike? Yes, let me show that. You can see when we run the show report, then we're actually serving a small server. That's actually a small server that has been starting up right here. And I can press Control C like this, and I can right click. I can say paste. And there are really, really good support for it in WebStorm. So I can just press play in WebStorm. And then I can run my tests. It is quite good. That's really good. It's not quite good. It's really good support for that in WebStorm. So here we have so now we got the UI, and then that means that then I can press play in the top. Then all of the tests are being run. Of course, the font is a little bit small right here, but what we get with this UI is actually, especially if we have something that fails, then we can see it visualizes what actually failed. So here we have the different browsers. So if there was something that failed on one of the browsers, you can also see how many milliseconds it took to load. And in Firefox, it was a little bit slow. It could also just be that, sometimes you have to run multiple tests, of course, to see why it was a bit slow. Yeah. So here we have and sometimes it's just random. Sometimes of course, it's not meant for directly performance testing, but you can get a feeling for the situation, and you can also rerun the tests an X number of times, and then of course you can see where you have some problems maybe. So yeah. Then let's go to this is my test that I have right here. Can create banner, and then again we can visualize, and we can actually see what's going on. We can see this is the test. This is the field that was being tested and doing some. This is the field that I made some expectations for. This also means that I have a lot of other fields which I did not do any expectations for. That means that I should actually create some more tests so I can get all of the fields tested. I should have an expectation for each field. Then the whole application would actually be blue, or have a bluish background, just like we see right here. So there are so many features just out of the box in this Playwright framework right here, and it's incredible how easy it is to use. It's I'm still amazed, as you can hear. So it's just a one-liner to install, and then we get all of these features out of the box. It is amazing. Per default, it runs headless, but we can actually also make it run with a head, and I've actually not tried that before. Run with head. Okay. If we just write dash headed, then we get it with the head on. That means that then we can follow it. So let's say that we do an npx test with head. I'll just make another one right here. Head. Let us try to run this and see what happens now. And I'll stop the UI, and I will start the test with head. Look what happens here now. Now it actually started the browser. Yes. It starts the browsers. It stops them again. So this means that if there was an error where it was waiting for something, then we could actually see what was going on. And that is awesome. We could also have enabled the debugger, and then debug, and then we could see exactly where it is that we have a problem. And this is where Selenium sometimes can be. You can do the same with Selenium, but it's just a little bit. It's just much heavier, and it can be a bit more difficult to do the things that I just did right here. Of course, with Selenium, you can also take screenshots and stuff like that. Yeah. You can do a lot of cool things with Selenium. Also, I just think that the setup right here was just so that I think that the setup that's what actually impressed me the most. That it was just so easy to set up. We get this show report out of the box, and I get this web where I get this web report that just exactly shows me the information that I need. What was my expectations? How long did it take? Yeah. So that's it. But I'm definitely going to create more. I'm going to create some more videos on Playwright. Also on the code gen, the task that you saw before. What else do I want to say? I just want to say thank you very much for all of your comments. I want to say thank you very much for watching my videos, and I want to say thank you just for being you. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. Playwright, and the webpage is located at playwright.dev. Yeah. And the documentation is also really good. I was not annoyed even once when I looked at the documentation. It actually, it just made sense. And Webstorm, it gave me the support that I needed. So actually, I did not have to look at the documentation that much at all. It is extremely easy. Yeah, just use the test IDs. I'll give you that recommendation because it just makes it much easier. And also when you are doing changes to your page, then there are less risk that your test actually might fall apart, because if you still have the field, it's just located someplace else. Then when you do it like this with the test ID, then it will still be found by the test and picked up and used by the test framework. Thank you very much for being you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.